Hi, Movie Shot here. Today I'm going to explain a mystery thriller film called What Lies Below. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Liberty Wells is a 16-year-old high school student who attends summer camp regularly. While reading a book on a bench, a young boy takes a picture without her consent, causing her to shout at him and get Tommy's attention, who she happens to have a crush on. Shortly after, her mom, Michelle, picks her up. She tries to converse with her daughter, but Libby seems preoccupied with reading her book. Michelle turns on the radio to try and make Libby smile, but she just gets annoyed. She teases Libby about having a crush on Tommy, and she defensively denies it. Both of them have a quiet road trip back home. They stop halfway as Michelle lets her daughter drive the car. At first, her mother is worried about her skills, but Libby says she can manage to drive. As they drive slowly, she sees a for sale sign of their property and almost hits a tree. Her mother explains that it's for her college education, as money runs tight at the moment. She asks about the new watch that her mother is wearing, to which she replies that it is a gift from someone. Finally, they arrive home safely. Michelle calls John, her new boyfriend, and Libby sees him for the first time. He gets out of the lake to meet her and give her a gift. She opens the box and sees a bracelet with the Navajo tribe's stone of life. He explains the origin of the bracelet and chooses to give it to her because she loves archaeology. Libby gives a timid smile and expresses her gratitude. In her room, she looks for an outfit that she thinks would impress John. She puts on a blue dress and heads downstairs to say hi to John as they prepare dinner. She takes a glimpse of him while he reaches for something in the cupboard. Michelle notices that Libby dressed differently that evening and compliments her appearance. Out of curiosity, Libby asks how the both of them met, and her mother explains that on a typical day of writing on the porch, John just appeared. John explains that he is an aquatic geneticist. He is part of a research team about freshwater animals and tries to solve problems in nature. He continues to demonstrate his study using 2 glasses of water and ice as the 2 women listen attentively. She begins to feel attracted to John, finding herself twirling her hair as he speaks, just like her mother. John coughs excessively after eating a piece of vegetable. Michelle approaches him and hugs him after he apologizes. While they embrace, he touches Libby on the shoulder and smiles at her. This gives her a weird and confusing feeling. She has difficulty sleeping that night because John's touch bothers her so much. She goes downstairs to grab a drink from the fridge but hears noises from her mom's bedroom, which sounds like she is making love with John. She takes a peek through a small gap at the bottom of the door, but someone approaches, so she rushes back to her room. Because of this, she even forgets to close her door. John passes by and takes a look at her while she pretends to sleep. The following day, Libby wakes up and finds her mother and John in the kitchen having a moment. She disturbs them by entering the room abruptly. Michelle tells her that the 3 of them will be going on a hike. She reminds her mom that it is the 28th of August, a special day for the both of them, and they should spend time together instead. They both go outside. In a nearby tree, Libby digs a hole using a gardening shovel. She unearths tin cans that are labeled with her family members' names. She opens a tin can and slides a note inside after kissing it. She hands over a tin can to her mother, but she does not put anything. Libby gets sad over this and tells her that Michelle never cared about anything. Every year, Libby makes it a tradition to put letters in the cans intended for her family members. Michelle explains that she stopped making letters because, as a child, she felt unwanted in her family. After their argument, Libby becomes quiet and decides to go for a walk. Upon picking up a rock, a centipede crawls on her hand. She gets frightened by this and almost steps on it. Just in time, John stops her by saying that it is a scolopendra, a rare species of centipede. Libby tells him that it bit her, but John explains that it is just trying to protect its offsprings as he lifts a piece of wood that reveals other centipedes hiding under it. She shows him the bite mark on her hand, and he blows it carefully. He comforts her that she will be okay, despite the bite being venomous. They continue to share a conversation while taking a walk in the nearby lake. John apologizes to Libby for disturbing their mother-daughter time and suggests that it would be better if he leaves. She disagrees, telling him that he should stay. Back at the house, Libby goes to her mother's room, who currently has a stomachache. She apologizes to her mother for her behavior earlier. Michelle apologizes as well for telling her too much information about their family problems. They both make up and forgive each other. Michelle also breaks big news to Libby. She and John are planning to get married. Libby says that she wants them to be happy, but she is obviously not thrilled about it. One issue is that John does not know Michelle's actual age. He thinks that she is 35 when she is actually 42. Libby researches more about scolopendras, the type of centipede she saw earlier, on her laptop. From her window, she sees John arrive at the house after jogging. She takes a peek at him, removing his shirt and warming down after exercising. She lies down on her bed and sees the bracelet from John. She looks at it intently and decides to offer him a drink. She knocks on the basement's door, where John conducts his study and research. He does not respond, so she enters and sees the basement completely dark. John hears Libby and asks her to turn her flashlight off. She finally sees him holding a red light and offers him some soda. He respectfully declines as sodium is bad for him, so he tours her to his workplace instead. Big aquariums fill the room. John keeps lampreys. These are an ancient extant lineage of jawless fish that have lived for millions of years. Lampreys are parasitic and can adapt to their hosts, and their survival rate is highly unmatched. He discusses more about the fish with Libby, who seems interested both in the topic and John. Libby asks about John's marriage proposal to her mother. He responds by saying that Michelle is very special to her and that they are very much happy together. Both of them plan on getting more samples from the lake, so they ride on an inflatable raft to go through the river. Libby asks John questions about his past as he paddles. He tries to reach for a cage he uses to get samples and asks Libby to hold his legs while he stretches his arms. They talk about Libby's plans for college and how passionate she is in archaeology when all of a sudden, her period arrives, and blood seeps through the raft. John reacts quickly by covering it with his shirt. This frightens and embarrasses Libby, but John also apologizes for how he reacted. The situation grows extremely awkward and uncomfortable for Libby. Once they got home, Libby takes a shower and removes the bracelet that John gave her. He knocks and checks up on her, but she does not respond. Libby is starting to feel a weird vibe toward him. She does not mind his questions until she hears the door open. John enters the bathroom without Libby knowing. While she showers, John sniffs her from the shower curtain as if he is craving for her. Unsatisfied, he also sniffs the shirt that was used to cover Libby's blood in the raft. She senses that someone is inside the bathroom. She checks, but John makes his way out in time. She checks on her mother to see if she's feeling better, but John is currently massaging Michelle on the back when she enters the room. John gives off an intense stare at her, so she closes the door. Libby tries to go to the basement, but it is locked. She tries to access it from outside the house, but all light sources are blocked and sealed. Worried that John is hiding something, she tries to contact her best friend Marley, but the reception is unstable. She tries talking to Marley using her laptop to invite her to come over. However, Marley says she is unable to go and asks if there is a problem. Libby writes back that her mom is marrying a freak of nature. Libby hears a knock on her door and finds out that John prepared a sandwich for her to make up for the awkward situation at the lake. That night, a red light wakes her up. She walks to her window to find its source. She sees John walking toward the red light coming from the lake. John submerges himself in the water, and the light goes off. Libby panics and gets confused about what she saw. She tries to wake her mom up, but Michelle is unresponsive. She goes to the lake to investigate, and John calls her from behind. She confronts him about what she saw. He denies it by saying that he suffers from sleepwalking. Libby walks out unconvinced. The following day, Michelle calls her. She finds her mother in the bathroom throwing up. At this point, Michelle looks greatly unwell, so she asks Libby to drive to the pharmacy and get her some medicines and a pregnancy test. Libby suggests that they call an ambulance instead because she does not have a license yet. Libby asks where John is. He is out for his daily jogs and won't be back for at least an hour. Her mom experiences more pain, so she does not have a choice but to rush to town. At the pharmacy, she sees John walk by with another woman. She follows them, but the cashier stops her as she forgot to pay. Libby gets home and sees Marley in the living room waiting for her. She heads directly to her mother to give her some medicine. John makes her extremely uncomfortable while she is in the room. Michelle continues to rest, and John assures that she will be taken care of. Before leaving, John gives her a menacing smile. Marley tells Libby that he finds John hot and is thrilled to talk about him. Libby tells her what she saw last night at the lake, how John grabbed her, and the uncomfortable things she experienced. Libby asks if Marley could stay the night, but she has an event to attend with her father. Marley gets furious after Libby's confessions. She tells her that she will let Michelle know that John is acting inappropriately. Libby tries to eavesdrop on the conversation, but she fails to hear anything. While waiting for Marley to come down, she falls asleep instead. She wakes up and heads to the living room. John and Michelle are watching clips of Libby of when she was young. Michelle tells her that she is pregnant. This underwhelms Libby, and Michelle gets disappointed in her reaction. She gets mad at Libby for always coming up with negative comments about the men that she dates. She calms down when John tells her that it is okay. As he hugs Michelle, he grins at Libby, his eyes deform, and she pulls her mother away from him. Michelle slaps her daughter out of anger. Because of this, Libby tells John the actual age of her mother. It disappoints John very much, causing him to walk out the door. Upon exiting, Michelle stops him, and his body language shifts totally. The mother and daughter continue to argue in the living room. That same night, Libby guards the house by staying in the living room. After hearing thumping sounds from above, she goes outside to check if something is on the roof. She goes around the house as she is very curious about the noises. She also looks over the lake for any signs of John and points the flashlight everywhere but finds nothing. Back inside, she hears John and Michelle making love in their bedroom. She takes a peek inside and sees John's body deform as if something is under his skin. She goes to her room, walks back to check on them again, but they are nowhere to be seen. Libby goes to the lake and finds something in the water that looks like a spaceship. She uses the car's light to take a better look at it, but she forgets to set it to park when she got out. This causes the vehicle to be partly submerged in water. She turns on the light on a high beam and finds out that it is actually where the red light came from. It confirms her theory that John is not human. She tries to call Marley for help but hears a ringtone that seems to come from the basement. Because of the blue light, she is able to see symbols on her wrist. It came from the bracelet that John gave. She sees her mother tied with half her body submerged in a tank. She sees the same symbols on her mother's wrist and the basement walls. Michelle gains consciousness and freaks out. John comes down, but his feet look entirely like that of a different creature. Instantly, he returns to his human form. He checks on Michelle, who is obviously in great pain and screeches in an alien-like manner. She gives birth to what seems to be a creature similar to John. However, it does not survive, which devastates John, so he goes outside trying to revive the creature. Libby scratches a part of the window to spy on John. She sees him transferring a blue light to the creature using his mouth. She continues to try and untangle Michelle from the tank. Libby locks the door and hears the creature snarling outside the basement. She sees Marley's phone and dials 911 to ask for help. She sees a device that causes the signal not to work in their house. John tries to talk to Libby so he could get in. He becomes more agitated and takes his real form. She breaks the device while John smashes the window using his hand. Libby is panicking and gets even more scared when she sees Marley being eaten by lampreys. While hiding under the desk, John grabs and strangles her. A long and animal-like tongue flicks out of his mouth, but she manages to fight back by pouring a bucket of salt on him. This seems to be John's weakness. She gets Michelle out of the tank while John is still unconscious. Michelle apologizes to Libby for not believing in her. As they try to escape and run away, her mother falls to the ground, causing them to slow down. Someone puts a bag over Libby's head, and she wakes up in an underground place where she is tied. Clones of John start appearing and smashing the room walls, revealing other dead bodies in tanks. Libby screams out of fear and agony when one of the clones approach her. A blue kind of orb is transferred to Libby from John's mouth. She refuses to swallow it, but he forces her to do so. This knocks her unconscious again. She wakes up with rashes all over her face and finds that she is trapped in a diamond-shaped tank along with other bodies. She becomes restless as she panics. Eventually, as the water fills the tank, Libby smiles in a deranged way. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this, enable the notifications, leave a like to help the channel.